All right, thanks everyone for joining. Like Olivia introduced, I'm Steph. I am Vice President Equity Campaigns of Cesax, Continuing Education Students Association of X University. Olivia, what do you do?
So I'm Olivia McIntosh again, and I am the Vice President of Event and Outreach at Cesax.
Amazing. So today we're just going to go through a little 101 of what our union is, what it does, what are the different components, and pay attention because if you're joining us in our Zoom, we are going to play a little round of trivia at the end. And then also maybe stick around for tonight because we have some other events going on that are part of our orientation week. So let's get into the fun stuff about us. So what is a students' union? What is the purpose of a students' union? And also, if there are any rhetorical questions that are put on the screen, feel free to try and put an answer in the chat, and then we'll get to the real answer and we'll see what it is. So what is a students' union? What do folks think the purpose of it is? Well, we have three main pillars of our students' union. So we have campaigns and advocacy, services, and events and outreach. So Cesax operates as a students' union for both continuing education students and part-time degree students. Our mandate and goals are very much the same as other campuses, but we're particularly geared towards part-time, mature students, student parents, low-income folks, etc. We provide a few things. So one, an organizing space for campaigns and advocacy on campus, membership services that meet the immediate needs of students. And then we also have a lot of things like tonight. We have events and programming that bring us all together in community, especially during a time when we are doing our studies online. It's sometimes not the best, but we want to make sure that we have engaging opportunities that everyone's able to access as well. So a little more about our university or our union is, what does it look like in its structure? What is the decision-making structure of our union? Well, we can tell you on our next slide. So I like to think of our student union's decision-making powers as kind of an upside-down triangle. I think when a lot of people think of different political organizations or the way that things are run at a workplace, they often think of a regular triangle. Oh, see, we're coming back to shapes. Shapes are a great theme for today. They think of at the top there being like a boss, and then as it goes down, the folks have less decision-making power in the organization. However, we're kind of a flipped model of that. So we have the biggest decision-making body of our union is our general members. So anyone who is a part-time degree student, a continuing education student, or a certificate program student, or even folks that are enrolled in undergraduate studies through the RSU, they can still be our members by coming to events, or if they're enrolled in continuing education Chang School classes, then they can also attend things like our committees, our general meetings. We have 2 a year, a semi-annual and an annual general meeting. Our annual general meeting is coming up very soon. And then also they can participate in voting in our elections, deciding who our board members and our executive committee are. Moving down on the upside down triangle structure, after members, we have our board of directors. So our board of directors attend our monthly board of director meetings, but they also sit on various committees that we have within our organization. It's the same one that members can also openly attend, but we do have board members that have very active roles in a lot of our different committees. And then after the board of directors is our executive committee. So that's our 5 positions. Like Olivia and myself, we're both vice presidents. We also have 2 other VPs and a president in our organization. So we also go to these different committees and different things. We have executive committee member meetings as well. But as far as our bylaws, our organizational policies, those are things that get voted on in our general meetings, which it's actually the students who have the most decision-making power over whether those get adopted or not. And then lastly, in our upside down triangle shape, we have staff. So we employ a lot of folks that help us with our different events. They help us run our campaigns. They help us with our office structure and organization. However, these are not the folks that are making the main decisions about what we do as a union. Instead, we still rely on the members to make those decisions. And then the staff do their best to carry out the needs and wants of students to the best of their ability. I also want to talk a little bit more about membership, because I kind of briefly went through the different types of students that our membership is composed of. So there are different ways at X University that you can study your degree program. For some, it's taking a full course load. And for those students that are considered full undergraduate students or full graduate students, they would be represented under other student unions, such as the RSU or the X University Graduate Students Union. But for other folks, they fall into our membership category. So if you are taking a credit course, so even if you are an undergraduate student, but you take one of those courses that has a C in front of it, usually it needs the Chang School version of whatever the course is. A lot of those courses usually happen in the nighttime, on weekends, or during the summer, or in intensives. Those would mean that you're also a part of our membership. Students that are conditional, they are distance education, part-time degree, or certificate program enrolled would also constitute the majority of our membership. I'm going to pass it back to Olivia, and we'll tell you a little bit more about the services that we offer.
Thank you. So some of our services that we offer, our first service is our legal aid clinic. It is free legal service to all of our members through our amazing in-house lawyer, Bill Reed. He offers a variety of knowledge of the legal system. So anything you need to know about the legal system or about rent arrears or whatever it has to do with anything legal, Bill Reed is your guy, and you can find everything about our legal aid clinic at the hyperlink below. Our next service is our bursary. So right now, our winter bursary has been open since January 14 at 12 p.m. and the deadline is until February 11th at 5 p.m. You can visit also to view more how you are eligible for this bursary or other bursaries at the hyperlink below. Next slide. And we offer financial aid. So the bursaries are like every semester, and we offer emergency grants. And as it says in its name, it is for emergencies only. We offer financial aid workshops. Or tax clinic, however, is canceled this year, the in-person, because of, COVID-19 and all of that. But these are some of the financial aid services that we offer. So we have an amazing student advocate whose name is Linda Musselman. So we have workshop every summer. So you need to know your important dates. The services also include academic standing, academic integrity, fees appeal, and non-academic issues. So if you're having an issue with, your classes or anything, Linda is your person, and she can be reached at the link below. Next slide, please. Lastly, but not least, we have our health and dental plan. And I just want to make it known that our health and dental plan is only for part-time degree students. It's charged once a year, and you can check your emails for information. And on that hyperlink, the health and dental plan person is our amazing Amanda. So you can go to the hyperlink and read more. And if you're a part-time degree student, you can see how you can get enrolled. Over to you, Steph.
Remember to unmute this time. All right, because majority of my work deals with campaigns on campus, let's talk a little bit more about some of our campaigns and programming. So one of the main things that is going on campus this year is that the university is undergoing a name change. Formerly, it was named after Egerton Ryerson, who has a complicated legacy in the creation of the residential school system in what we know as Canada. So we have been working primarily with folks who are doing organizing from the ground up, Indigenous-led organizing on campus to call for a renaming of the institution. And eventually we have reached a success with, in this fall, the Board of Governors of the university announced that we will be doing a name change. It is supposed to be announced soon. They have organized a renaming committee. We've been involved in as much as we can in every step of the process. So hopefully there are new things coming soon, but that's one of the main things that we've been working on this year, is making sure that that name change comes into fruition. Another thing that I do want to reiterate is the university name is not changed yet. And we have been asking folks, especially before it was announced by the university's Board of Governors that the name was changing. We had been asking students to do things like updating your email signatures and on social media, not saying I go to Ryerson University, but I go to X University, because that's the name that was chosen by different community Indigenous organizers on our campus. We also encourage folks to participate in a culture and culture shift through the language that we use, and definitely listen and advocate for the different struggles that colonization has created for Indigenous peoples of this land. I also want to talk a little bit about our Education as a Right campaign. So as we know, post-secondary education is often very expensive and not super accessible for everyone. So what we are working towards eventually is a free public education model for everyone. Right now, we have lots of cuts to education that are made by different levels of government, specifically the provincial government. So we want to make sure that we do have public funding in the name of academic freedom and decorporatization. We want to have sustainable planning and development in our policies that we're going through with the university. So having bicameral decision making, not just a Board of Governors, but making sure that students are involved in the decision-making processes of the institutions that they attend. And this also means making sure that we engage our membership through provincial and federal elections. We have a federal election in the fall, and we have a provincial election coming up this June. So we're going to be doing a lot of work. I'll talk about it in a second, but on those different election campaigns to make sure that students know where funding for education is coming from and which parties that are running have decided that they want to have more public funding for education, others that want to take it away. So I want to provide a quick quote on our next slide to talk a little bit about what our ultimate goal is. And this comes from the Canadian Federation of Students, which we are a local member of. So to achieve our ultimate goal, a system of post-secondary education that is accessible to all, which is of high quality, which is nationally planned, which recognizes the legitimacy of student representation and the validity of student rights, and whose role in society is clearly recognized and appreciated. So that's what we're fighting for. I also want to talk about one of our other campaigns that we're running on our campus that's been very much an internal campaign. And oh, I got a, oops, sorry, my computer froze for a hot second there. So on our next slide, I'll talk a little bit about harm reduction. So this is a pressing conversation in most communities right now, but specifically on our campus and in our community. Right now, we are seeing a high number of deaths every year from a toxic drug supply crisis that has been created through prohibitive substance laws in our country. So we have a lot of services located right beside our university that are harm reduction aligned. However, our university administration has not always been so welcoming to those services. So we want to make sure that we have proper harm reduction policies and practices on our campus to make sure that we are protecting the lives of our students and community members. And we also want to make sure that we have accessible education to different harm reduction education. So doing things like naloxone trainings, bystander intervention, safe talks, all different things where students can be equipped with knowledge to know how to respond to on campus, other student or community member perceived crises that often happen in downtown Toronto, sometimes because of things like a contaminated substance supply that is posing a really real health risk to our community as well. On our next slide, I'll talk a little bit about equity and social justice. This is a hard one to contextualize in one slide because we do a lot of work on different equity and social justice issues every year. A lot of them are also determined by calls to action from community, and this may take place as different social actions. It might be educational talks. So we're approaching the month of February, which is Black History Month. We have also in the past done a lot of anti-Black and anti-Asian racism, different trainings or educational talks. We've done a lot of solidarity movements with colonized communities as well, so Palestinian solidarity. We've done a lot of support for a lot of communities that are constituted in our membership constituency. So student parents, is one thing. We do a lot around social justice, environmental justice. We have some campaigns that are specific to our campus, and we have some campaigns that are for the broader community. The last thing that I wanted to touch on as far as as far as our campaigns is just an update around what's going on with the return to campus. So on our next slide, we'll have a few links that we can share, but it was stated earlier this month that there is still a plan in place to do a full return to campus for undergraduate students, but this has also been unclear as far as the communication of what the implications are for continuing education students who often have their classes online. So earlier, starting towards the end of last year of 2021, we started collecting students' thoughts on the return to campus plan. And our survey is still open as well. So if anyone would like to fill out that survey, we can drop the hyperlink in the chat as well. We did release earlier this week a statement listing our concerns with the current reopening plan on our website. And we will be organizing an emails app tool that students can use to email faculty and administration if they are having concerns with the return to campus plan that have been unaddressed. And lastly, I will throw it back to Olivia to tell you a little bit more about how you can get involved in our organization.
Thank you. So some of the various ways you can get involved at any one of our amazing committees. So we have 3 committees. The first one is the bylaws and policy. Then you have the equity and campaigns and my committee, the events committee. And you can check out our committees at the hyperlink below. The next way to get involved is through the class representative program. So the perks of being a class rep is that you give feedback from your class to us and you provide updates to your class members on various events or things that are happening at Cesax. It also helps you to build skills in public speaking, advocacy, and great networking / leadership skills. And you can also find that at the link below. The next way to get involved is you can come and volunteer with us. So you can volunteer through the class representative program or on Track It Forward, or you can just show up at any one of our amazing events. And you can, if you want to become a volunteer, you can go to the hyperlink below and see how you can become a volunteer and which area or you want to show your expertise and volunteer with us. Next, at our event, you can also be a part of our events committee. All of our events are located in our events calendar. You can also see it on the D2L. You can follow us on, or you can see various updates through our newsletter, or you can also follow us on our social media platforms. So for our social media, we have our monthly e-newsletter. For all of our social media platforms, we are at XU Cesax. You at the D2L core shell, you can visit the core shell, or you can add the app, and the app is called Pulse. And you can join our board. So elections are in like February or March. It's 5 hours a week. We have monthly board meetings. We have committee participation. You get to help in governance and strategy experience. And you can also build social and public speaking skills. We're big on helping you build those skills if you are a little bit into your shell. We're a good family. So we like to help our family members. And I just want to tell you, thank you so very much for taking the time out to come and participate at our Cesax 101. If you want to reach Steph is at vp.equity@mycesax.ca, and I can be reached at vpevents@mycesax.ca. Or if you want to reach anyone that was mentioned in our presentation, you can just go to our website at www.mycesax.ca. But it's not finished yet. I don't want you all to leave just yet, because Steph has an amazing trivia plan for all of us.
Yes, we will set,
Steph?
Yeah, we'll set our trivia up, but now is a great time for questions as well. And I did have one in the chat, but if other folks have anything else that came up, feel free to put it in, or you can raise a hand and then we can unmute if that's more accessible. So the one question we got was, what is considered a part-time student? How many courses do you need to be enrolled in? And which health and dental plan would you fall under, and can you opt in and out? So the way that it's classified is a little strange. So you could be a full-time student if you enrolled in your, let's say you enrolled in an undergraduate degree program, but you're only taking your courses at a part-time capacity, so maybe 2 courses, you're still considered to be a full-time student. However, if you have chosen to study your degree as a particular program that's labeled as a part-time degree program, then you'll be considered a part-time student and you would fall under our health and dental benefits. Otherwise, you would fall under the RSU's health and dental benefit plans. And I think they have a similar process for opting in and opting out, but you might have to check that under their website as well. I know it's silly. It's silly sometimes though, because if you apply for OZAP, they'll consider you a part-time or full-time student depending on the amount of courses you're taking. But through the institution, it's based on how you enrolled in the program and whether you enrolled in a full-time undergraduate degree program or a part-time undergraduate degree program. I hope that answered the question. Yeah, awesome. And if there are more, let me know. You can raise a hand and we will get to them. And if not, we'll play some Kahoot.